filled with bright and colorful things, from beautiful flowers to tropical fish to breathtaking butterflies. Just take a moment to look around at the wide variety of colors that surround us, wherever we are. The zoo, a canyon, a clothes closet. They all abound with color. That's why our sense of vision is often considered our most important sense. We collect 9/10 of our information about the world around us through our sense of sight. Hearing, taste, smell, and touch are important senses. But when it comes to gathering information, our sense of sight is the most important. Light is the key to our whole sense of sight. The key source of light on Earth is the sun. Even ancient people realized the importance of light, and they worshiped the sun to try to ensure that the supply of light would not run out. All living things on the planet depend on light. The light from the sun provides energy and heat. Green plants use light in their food-making process called photosynthesis. During photosynthesis, carbon dioxide, which is exhaled by animals, and minerals and water, which are absorbed by the plant from the earth, are combined in the presence of light to make glucose, a kind of sugar, for the plant to use for its own growth and survival. The plant gives off oxygen as a byproduct of this food-making process. All animals, including humans, need oxygen. Plants can't live without light. If a green plant doesn't receive light, it will not be able to make food and will eventually die. If plants were to disappear from our planet, animals would soon follow. Many animals eat plants, and all animals breathe the oxygen that only plants can produce. So, all life on Earth is dependent upon light from the sun. People have always been fascinated with light and the sense of sight. But not all the ideas about light and sight have been correct. For instance, about 2,000 years ago, the Greeks thought that eyes worked because they sent out energy that hit an object and bounced back. They thought this because they observed the eyes of animals such as cats, dogs, and deer in the dark. Their eyes appeared to glow. It was this glow that made them think that the eyes were generating a light energy. Actually, cats, dogs, and deer can see better in the dark than we can because their eyes can open up further to collect as much available light as possible. However, nothing can see in total darkness because all eyes need an outside light source to work. We now know that eyes make it possible for animals and humans to see because of reflected light. This is how reflected light works. Light strikes an object and bounces off or reflects. The reflected light enters our eye, and an image of what we see is formed on the back of the eye called the retina. The retina is made up of rods and cones that are sensitive to light. The rods are sensitive to light and dark, but not color. The cones are capable of sensing different colors. Primates, including humans, are the only mammals to experience full color vision. Dogs, cats, mice, rabbits, and most mammals see a black and white world because their eyes lack color-sensing cones. There are other animals that can see color, but usually not all the colors we see. Usually animals that look colorful can see in color. For instance, birds and butterflies can see in color. Scientists have found color-sensing cones in the eyes of birds and butterflies. Even snakes and lizards can see colors. The bright colors and markings of many animals help them to identify each other. Many birds and fish have their eyes on the side of their head, so that their field of vision is larger. This helps them to see things that might be approaching them from different directions. Insects have compound eyes, which are made up of thousands of lenses. This is a close-up of a bee's eye. As you can see in this diagram, the human eye is very complicated. Light enters the eye through the pupil, which is the dark hole in the center of the iris. The iris is muscle tissue, which determines the size of the pupil. In bright light, the iris closes the pupil, so not as much light gets in. Under dark conditions, the iris opens up the pupil, allowing greater amounts of available light to enter the eye. The iris is the blue, green, brown, or hazel part of the eye. The white part of the eyeball is a tough protective skin. It covers the entire eyeball except for the clear area over the iris and pupil. This protective clear section is called the cornea. The cornea bends the light towards the lens. The cornea focuses the light entering the eye. Most people think that the lens is responsible for focusing, but that is wrong. The lens helps us to be able to focus on things that are close as well as things that are far away. The lens is adjusted when small muscles change the shape of the lens. However, it is the cornea that does the most to focus light that enters the eye. Light enters the cornea and then is bent towards the retina, where an inverted image strikes the rods and cones. The rods and cones send electrical impulses to the brain through nerve fibers that collect to form the optic nerve behind the eye. The place where the fibers come together has no rods or cones, so images can't be seen at this point. This spot is referred to as the blind spot. The optic nerve carries the information to the brain, where it is turned right side up and analyzed. Humans have two eyes for a purpose. We have what is called binocular vision. The image from each eye is combined to give us the ability to determine distance. The field of vision is determined by how much you can see without moving your head. To understand how light is produced, we need to think at the atomic level. Orbiting the center or nucleus of an atom are the electrons. The electrons orbit at certain distances from the nucleus. If an electron gains energy, it can jump or move to a higher orbit. But it doesn't stay at this new position long and moves back to its original orbit. When this happens, the electron releases the energy it had absorbed. This energy is released as a photon. This photon, or particle of light, is the energy released when the electron moves back to a lower energy level or orbit. So it is the movement of electrons back and forth between energy levels that produces the photons of light. If we turn on a light, electrical energy goes into the filament of the bulb. This causes the atoms in the filament to vibrate. Energy causes the electrons of those atoms to move back and forth to different energy levels, producing photons of energy, which we see as light. A stream of photons travels as waves of vibrating electric and magnetic fields. A field can exert a force on another object without touching that object. A force is a push or a pull. Think of a magnet interacting with a paperclip. The paperclip is pulled towards the magnet without touching.